Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mike with McAfee Home Group. We are back in our office today with another episode of the New Agent Pod. We are joined here today by Kellen Brown.
How are we doing today?
It's a lovely day. Weather's nice and warm. How are you doing?
It's good. Life is good. Christmas is coming up. Get to spend it with some family. So very excited for some new changes going into the new year and just a lot of good things going on, my friend.
Yeah, I agree. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, what do you do?
Absolutely. So my name is Kellen Brown, from Fort Wayne, born and bred. I'm a mortgage lender for Thrive Mortgage, a new company here with my team, the Impact Lending Team, coming to Fort Wayne. So I've been at two companies here in Fort Wayne, Teachers Credit Union and Lake State Mortgage, and so kind of now going into the new year, starting my own team and kind of kicking that off going into 22. So
that is awesome. So what really kind of drove you to Thrive, other than kind of starting your own team, or was that kind of a big part of it going to Thrive, was being able to control your own team and kind of manage your own team?
So that was a major part of it. They gave me an opportunity to have some more pull in kind of the day-to-day and some processes and things, and so that was a major factor into it, as well as another partner of mine also moved there, so him and I have some things going on, some other factors outside of Fort Wayne. So primarily I will be here, and then they have a couple of other states they'll be working in, so that was another opportunity that I had to take advantage of.
Oh yeah, I mean, being able to advance and kind of grow your career,
yes,
you got to take it, especially as young as you are. How old are you?
24. Turned 24 in December. So yeah, like you said, have to take risks early on, calculated risks.
Yeah.
But, we are young. We have all of the opportunity ahead of us, and, going for bigger and better and trying to get the best process we can along with providing the best service. So I would say that was a big part of it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, calculated risk is everything, Everybody takes risks every day, and it was a big leap for me jumping into the real estate world.
Absolutely.
But it was calculated at some point. It wasn't just like, oh, all right, let's go do this.
Yeah, let's drop my retail job or working at the factory and let's do it. It was kind of, because you went to college for a little bit, and then you and I decided that sales and real estate was kind of the better choice for the two of us.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it just fits well with both of our personalities and kind of both of how we work. I mean, I feel like we're both really driven, and I think that really plays a huge part with the calculated risk, because you have to factor in yourself when you're talking about these things. If you're not somebody who likes to talk to people and meet new people and all that other stuff, real estate might not be the industry for you.
Right, absolutely. And there's different ways that you know it, I know it, that you can go about it. There's plenty of ways. You don't have to be the absolute social butterfly, but
like you are, Kellen.
I do my best.
Kellen is the social butterfly here. Don't let him fool you.
I do my best where I can. I make sure that everybody feels welcome. But I know people that in the business that do very well, and their primary source of communication is social media. They're commenting on posts or on Facebook, LinkedIn, 2-3 hours a day. There's multiple avenues of. You don't just have to be going out to meet people. There's more than one way to do it, but being social, I do say, makes it a little bit easier.
It does. Being able to strike up that conversation, and even on the phones, and a lot of these skills are things you pick up along the way, but I think you still have to have somewhat of that personality going into it.
Right. Absolutely. You have to be open to the conversation.
Exactly. So how long have you been in the loan business?
About a year and a half. Spent the first 6 months in the business, I'll say, as a transaction coordinator, loan type processor, and then went full sales in 2019, and then kind of have been running with that so far. So kind of 2020, 2021 have been this will be my first full year. Sorry, I meant 2020.
I gotcha. So now when you got into the business, you said you were kind of doing more of the back end things. Do you think that helped you before you took the role as a loan officer, having that background in it?
Having an understanding, absolutely. I would say I learned, and depending upon who's watching this, back in the day, physically stacking a file. There was no DocuSign, there was no electronic, it wasn't on the iPad, it was a physical stack of papers putting it in order, and so that's how I learned it from the old days, and if there's any other lenders watching, Calyx Point, which is the oldest system for mortgage software. So it was, I learned the bare bones.
Yeah.
And so I feel like coming from that, giving you, DocuSign, all of the marketing and new tools like that, it just makes it that much easier to explain to newer people, especially, we always love first-time buyers.
Yeah.
But they don't know what they don't know. So being able to articulate that and make sure you understand what you're getting into makes it a lot easier. Because I was on the back end. So I know behind the scenes what is going on. Obviously, as a loan officer, we conduct the transaction, but being in the nitty-gritty of it, I feel like was a great positive.
Yeah, and any of you buyers out there, these are the people you yell at when your house doesn't appraise. Don't yell at me, yell at him.
This is we just do the orders. We do what we can. But yeah, that's a long-running joke between the two of us.
So, what you said, you mentioned that you went to college for
Yes.
a bit. What'd you go for?
So I initially went for physical therapy.
Okay.
And then I had a great conversation with one of the top people in Swartland and Mallers, and he told me that was a horrible idea. And I asked him why, and we had a conversation, and I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense, but childhood dream of wanting to be a physical therapist kind of poof, gone from one of your potential mentors telling you not to get into the business. So then I switched to business at Trine University, played basketball there, and then finished out at Purdue Fort Wayne, and pretty much got an internship with my father, Dave Brown, while he was at Teachers Credit Union and was his assistant, just to get my feet wet.
Yeah.
The first job kind of out of college and just kind of see what it was like. And then I think after that 6-month period was really when I said, I can do the sales part. It's really, I don't want to say it's not hard. We don't want to make it seem too easy.
It's the way Jake put it when I was first getting in, because everything seems super complicated. I'm like, how do you even get to this? He's like, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you do these things. It's not rocket science. It's still hard.
Right.
Like, it's difficult making calls every day and staying consistent with it and helping people and having those awkward conversations.
Absolutely.
But it's not rocket science. I mean, it's things anybody could do it realistically. You don't have to have a special, mind for it.
Absolutely. They don't teach a class in high school or in college about real estate.
No. Which I think they should, by the way.
I 100% agree with that. I think they should have a class on credit.
Yes.
I truly believe that, because there's always the, what is the Pythagorean theorem going to do for me in the real world? I don't know how to file my taxes. I don't know how to apply for a loan. I hear high school kids. I coach at Carroll High School, so my kids would ask me these things because they knew what I did, and I would, spend time teaching them about what it was like, and they're like, I've never, a personal finance class or like finance 101 in homeroom, they just don't get taught.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, you don't know what you don't know. So you and I are usually that first line of contact where it comes to, okay, why is credit important? How do you leverage, your assets or the money in the bank to how much house I can buy? Some people get shocked and they're like, I can buy this much house with that little money. I'm like, yep. If you like the payment. I always followed up with that when I say, you can get this much house, but here's the payment with it.
And then they're like, oh.
And then we can walk it backwards from there when we get to that point. But, if people don't know what they don't know. So it's like when you said, articulating. Jake has taught you the business and is going to continue teaching you, but we learn everything during the transaction.
Yeah.
Some of our best, at least in my perspective, my best questions come from my buyers. I would have never thought about that. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Let me go ask and find the answer out for you.
Yeah, and I think you also have to be careful with it, because we're in it day in, day out.
Right.
This is just, another one, not another one in that sense, but like in our head it's, the steps when people may not know, because they really don't know.
It's like I always compare it to riding a bike. Everybody fell on their butt the first couple of times. Well, even after the 4th, 5th time, you're still a little wobbly. I don't know how many people are buying 4 and 5 homes.
Yeah.
But
talk to my parents.
I was saying, mine have moved about the same amount. So, but it's like, they don't know. I keep saying it, they don't know what they don't know. So it's kind of a middle ground of educating and making sure, because like you said, we're in this day to day. You ask me a question or you ask you a question, it's like, oh, that's the answer, because we answer that question 4 or 5 times a day.
Yep.
But they just don't know, and so.
Exactly, and I think you get to that point where it's just so transactional sometimes, and you think they know something, but to other people, it's not common knowledge. So then, like you do it, and they're like, "What's this?" And you're like, "Oh yeah," you got to kind of go back through and do it. I actually had some buyers, Lord help them, but they're paper.
Right.
Then no email.
Yep.
So it was like kind of like the first time where I had actually like went through and read every single line of the purchase agreement. I mean, because a lot of times you're just like, this goes here, this goes here. You don't actually read it, but kind of read through it, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of it, and kind of makes you a better person, because then you know that contract.
Makes you a better agent. You understand. You can articulate, or you get to closing sometimes, and not everything goes 100% smooth. And there's a question that comes up. It's a lot better than. Let me call somebody and double check that. And you just kind of know the answer. Like, you learn from your mistakes. Yeah. Mistakes are your best teacher, and you have to fail to be able to learn, and that's okay. But answering those questions and making sure they are reaffirmed, that they understand that, these are closing costs. Here's what comes at the inspection. Here's what happens if an appraisal is cut. We go over those multiple times to make sure, and I know you had Trevor Day on. Oh, there we go. Whoopsie. I know you had Trevor on. I know he does a great job with educating their borrowers. He showed me some things they have, and I'm like, it's ingrained. I mean, it's a familiar setup that they understand. They walk them through it, and that's why I think they do a great job, is because they answer a lot of those questions that sticks. Yeah. Is getting it to stick is the part. Yeah,
I feel like that is the hard part, and being able to just say it a certain way to where they do understand it.
Yes.
Because sometimes we use our realtor and loan officer lingo, and they're like, I have no clue what you just said.
Right. Or you go through a consultation, it's like you say 20 things, and their eyeballs are, kind of swimming in their head, and they say, do you have any questions? They don't know what to ask, because they feel like they just got it, and about 20 minutes later, it's all going to go
right out.
And I always say, if you have anything, call me.
Yeah.
Please call me. There are no silly questions.
Yeah, no, I agree, because every email I send to a client is always, don't hesitate to just give me a call.
Please.
Like, just give me a call. I can explain it better than you're going to be able to, read through this and try and figure it out on your own. Come to me, I can just spit it out just like that. And I've had a lot of that issue with, so my lake listing is on leased ground.
Yep.
I know that lease inside and out like the back of my hand. Like, somebody calls me, it's boom, 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 boom. Done. And it helps so much more that way. It's not, well, let me call you back, blah, blah, a lot of bouncing.
100%.
So, since you did go to college, do you feel like it was worth it almost, or do you feel like, you would have rather just jumped straight into the business?
I go back and forth on this quite a bit. For the relationships and friendships and things that I created during those college years, I wouldn't trade them. But if strictly from a learning aspect and a career standpoint, I could have gone straight from high school and jumped into mortgage. Not saying that, at 18, 19, I could be a fantastic lender and not learn anything, but the way that our business is set up is that you don't need a college degree.
No.
But that's almost kind of the beauty of it, is it takes away a prerequisite of having to go to a 4-year degree. Now, I personally, if you're going to get a specialty degree, I would like you to have a degree.
Yes.
If you're going to be a nurse or an RN or something medical, I would prefer you have a degree.
Please do.
An engineer, an architect, a lawyer, specialty degrees. But I truly feel like on just how the world is now set up with the internet, you can go online and read Grant Cardone, Barry Fabini, Gary Vee. I mean, you can go and get their training, and most of it almost is free sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you can go on Gary Vee's Instagram, YouTube, and podcast and just jam out. I mean, I know I did that when I was in construction a lot. I'd be doing something mindless. I'd throw my headphones in and listen all day to just podcasts and take in this information. And it's a great, but I 100% agree with you. Specialty things, I think you need to go to college. It's a must.
Right. There's proper education that needs to be given to you so that you can properly perform your job. But I personally can say in this business, nobody has ever asked me, do you have a degree in this? Or they'll ask me, how did you get? Oh, you pass a state test, a national exam, and I do continuing education. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never has it come up like, well, did you go to college? Like, is there a degree for this? It just doesn't come up.
Yeah.
And, I guess I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's one of those things. We provide a great service, or at least we try to, and you take care of your clients. Those kinds of things don't come up.
No.
I mean, any of the 5-star reviews you've ever gotten have never been like, yep, because Michael went to XYZ college for 2 years, I felt he was well equipped. No, his communication was great. Any questions in all hours of the day, I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but I know
I've answered phones at midnight.
He picks up. There's not many times he's never picked up for me, and so, but it's service level, making sure that they're well taken care of, and making sure that all expectations are met, and setting proper expectations from the beginning. I think something that I would teach somebody to come under me. Set proper expectations up front.
Yes, I've had buyers where they come to me and they want super unrealistic things, and you just and they appreciate it when you're straight up, when you're like, look, you're not going to find that. I'm sorry,
right?
You're not going to find that. This is where I think we need to shift, and they appreciate it so much because not only are you not wasting their time, you're not wasting your time. Everybody's happier. You're looking at real contenders. And I think being able to have that conversation up front is almost a skill, because it's an awkward conversation when you're like, we know you want this dream house, but that's not going to happen.
Right. And nobody likes the word no. I mean, nobody, as a lender, and I usually joke about this, is that like on the listing side, listing agents don't like hearing from lenders because most of the time it's bad news.
Not good.
Not bad. It's usually bad news. And so there's a couple things that I personally try to do to eliminate that stigma. We can get into that a little bit later, but having the no conversation is okay. Having the realistic expectation of, okay, you're not here with your credit yet. I always say yet because time can fix all. Now, sometimes with houses, we can't make something, we can't make a 4-bed, 3-bath
for $120,000. Alan,
you're asking a lot. You're asking a lot. But those conversations of coming over the objection of no, or being able to take a no, and that's something that I respect about you guys is that you guys make calls more than everybody. And those calls are not just random phone calls to people. They're calculated, like we said, calculated risk. To FSBO sellers.
Hey, don't be giving out my secrets here.
They're calling people who are listing for sale by owner. They're calling past database. I mean, they are reaching out in its amount of touches. And something that I truly believe in is the amount of touches that you get ups the amount of buyers and sellers that you are going to have. How many no's is it worth to you to get a yes?
Yep, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Is one no out of 50 calls worth it to you? I mean, that one call could be a $300,000 listing.
Yeah.
It could be a $400,000 buyer. It could be a new construction. And you never know who that one person knows to refer you. Obviously, we have to hold up our end and provide great service and a referable experience, but the $120,000 borrower may know their parents who are looking to buy a second lake home.
Yeah,
the one you're leasing up in.
Yes, so if you need a lake place for affordable, get in touch with me.
Yes, if you need a lake property, please get a hold of us so we can get you into that.
Yeah, and I think that's huge. I was looking at my numbers last night.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, I call for sale by owners. I've went on, I think, about 45 for sale by owner previews.
Yeah.
And I just landed my 4th FSBO.
Right.
So I mean, we're looking, not to do all the math, but about 1 in every 10.
1 in every 10.
So I'm getting 10 no's. Again, it's probably a little bit more than that.
Right.
But for the most part, I know if I go see 10 properties, I should be able to land one of them.
Right. I mean, you can. A lot of people in our business talk about scaling it up or scaling it down. He can scale that number and say, okay, well, if I have 100 appointments, I'm going to get at least 10.
Yep.
How much are those 10 worth to you when you put it in that perspective?
Exactly. And then there's phone calls behind those 10. So,
right.
I may have went on 44 FSBO previews, but I guarantee you I made probably about 100 dials to get those.
Exactly. I mean, it's all scalable. But the thing that people don't see is the background work. I mean, they don't know how many dials you're making. They don't see the missed appointments. They only see the listing that you just put up today. I mean, the amount of people that also had a listing appointment. That doesn't go into the amount of prep work that he does for a proper listing presentation to make sure that they are educated and know what they're getting into. And that goes back to you saying being honest and upfront.
Yeah. I mean, there's no point in going into it, because there's times where you can just, straight up buy for sale by owners. Tell them, you can get, $400,000 and this property is worth $325. But being honest with them, I think, gets you a long way. And I think that's really how, I had my listing up in Auburn this year. That was a for sale by owner. I called, went up there Friday at 6 p.m., and I think it's doing those small things and also being honest, because one of the biggest reasons they told me they gave it to me was I listened, I was honest, and, just heard them.
Right.
And I think sometimes, especially in our industry, people can get so in depth with the numbers and all of this to these people, and they really don't care. They just want to know, are you going to be honest with me? Are you going to try your best? And can you listen to what I want?
Yes.
I think being able
100%.
to do that is just a huge step.
Right. I mean, there's conversations that I have with people where it's like, should I put 20% down? Like, okay, well, kind of the baseline for mortgage is, for every $1,000 you put down, it reduces your payment by $5. So let's say, you have a $10,000 car loan and you can put another 10 grand down. You can either reduce your payment by $100 or get off your $400 car payment. Do I want to free up $100 of cash flow a month or $300?
Yeah.
Those are conversations that the above and beyond that, that we always try to strive for is I'm trying to give you the best experience possible. You can buy a $300,000 house, but do you want to be house poor and have a $2,000 a month payment, not be able to take your kids and your wife out for dinner every week, and you're worrying about the budget? I'd rather you go with Michael. He talks you into a 230, 250, and your budget doesn't change, your lifestyle doesn't change, and you're happier.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge misconception from people on the outside looking into real estate. Like, I'm not going to push you into a more expensive house. Like, an extra $20,000 house is maybe going to earn me $200 extra in my commission check. That's not worth it for you to be unhappy. I'd rather you love this $200,000 house and want to come back to me than me shove you in this $250 and you're like, this is not what I want.
Sucks. Yeah, you're not gonna. When you tell your friends like, I like this house. Well, who sold it to you? That's the opposite of you put them in that 200. They love it. They're gonna invite you over for barbecue. If they have the ability to refer you somebody else because they had that experience. That is the thing, and I will say it. It's not that I don't care about you. Yeah. But I would rather you be happy, because that's what's going to come back to me is your happiness level and the ability to refer somebody like and trust to us so that they have a similar experience to what you had.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I had one earlier this year. She had lost her husband in 2020, and she was buying a new house, and we looked at a couple. She was going to put the home search on hold. I sent her this one in New Haven that I thought was just perfect. She loved it, got under contract, we go to the closing table, and she just started crying during closing, and she was like, I feel like I made two best friends, me and the loan officer, and it really shifted the way I saw real estate, seeing that emotion, seeing how much I played a role in that, and it's just a great feeling, and it's something I love to have, and I love to make my clients feel that way. Right.
That would be why we're in it, is to navigate and make sure people have an experience like that. We can't promise it's always going to be that way,
but being there for them if it does go wrong.
And that's something, like you said, with the honesty, is being able to deliver bad news. I don't want to tell you this, but I wouldn't be doing my job as your representative, as a buyer or a seller, and lie to you and tell you, everything's great. This happened with the borrower, and we're gonna have to push closing out 2 weeks. because the only thing worse about bad news is bad news delivered late.
Yeah, 100%. And also to kind of bounce off that, I think bad news delivered without all the information.
Absolutely.
So when I get bad news, I collect every single piece of data I can. So I only have to go to them once. I don't have to, tell them the bad news and they ask a question and I don't know, let me get back to you.
Absolutely.
So being able to deliver that bad news and then have a plan. So they know, I had one, my listing over in Northeast Fort Wayne, we've been back on the market twice now, and just being able to have that plan. The second time I had called her, told her, hey, everything's going great, we're moving along great, we're extending the earnest money so they can turn it in on Monday, no big deal, we know we're looking really good. 10 minutes later I get a call from the agent, hey, we're gonna have to meet your release, financing fell through. So then, at 7 p.m. on a Friday night, I call her back 10 minutes after I just told her it was going perfect. And I was like, hey, just want to let you know we're mutually releasing, but, we're going to get it back on the market as soon as possible. We're going to ramp up our marketing, and we're going to get this thing back under contract. She didn't blink an eye. I mean, it was just like, she heard me. I was confident with what I was saying. I wasn't nervous. I knew we'd get it sold, and we ended up back under contract the next week. So being able to just do that and let them put their trust in you is so important in this business.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned having a plan, because a lot of times I find if you say it with confidence, it's almost like when you walk through somewhere and you just walk with that conviction, nobody stops you.
No,
even if you're not supposed to be there. I forget where I was, and I accidentally walked into the wrong building, but I just walked through like I knew where I was going, and no one stopped me. They're like, do you work here? I'm like, work where? They're like, oh, here's where I am. I'm so sorry.
Wrong building.
Wrong building. Well, it was like you talk with that conviction and say, all right, here's what happened. It is unfortunate. Here's how we're going to go about it. And a lot of the time it's like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good. Let's go with that. Obviously, they may have some questions to go along with that plan, but for the most part, after you collect all that info, you really are giving them the most up-to-date information to go off of.
Yeah, and I like to, deliver that bad news and then pivot. So here's the bad news. This is what happens. It sucks, but you know what? It is what it is now. This is how we're gonna fix it, or this is how we're gonna go forward with it.
Absolutely.
So being able to do that, I think, is just, really a big part of scaling your business and getting more clients.
100%. Absolutely.
So what's really been the biggest surprise, from the outside looking in, that you had once you got into the business?
So the biggest surprise I had getting into the business was I had all of these awesome plans to meet agents, go to different networking events, and I was licensed in April of 2020. And 2 weeks later, COVID shut down the country. So all of these plans that I had to get out, meet people like Michael, making relationships, making friends in the business, were shot down. So I had to 100%, I'm going to steal this, pivot to a whole nother way of presenting myself. And that's why when I started this off was being friendly is great, but I can't get in front of you. How much does that really do for me? I can FaceTime you. I can call you and be friendly on the phone, but that doesn't build the same level of rapport as sitting next to each other. And that's, a lot of old school clients still like to meet in person, which we still love to do. But I had to pivot and say, okay, how can I influence and show these people I have a service worth investing in without being able to share the emotion, the passion, the drive in other than my voice. I talk a lot with my hands. It just comes with my mentorship. But it's like, how can I adjust? And a lot of it was social media, was Zoom meetings were great for us. I know that people I worked with were doing virtual tours, and they continue to still do that. But it was trying to be innovative to the traditional way of meeting people was out the door. So that was my biggest thing, was going into a business that I didn't know a whole lot about in the beginning, being new, and trying to show people I had value without being in person was probably my biggest challenge, was overcoming. I can say, not knowing things, being new, but
Yeah, no, I mean that had to have been really tough, especially because, as loan officers, you guys are out there meeting people more so than realtors are, because we're out talking with clients where a lot of times you guys have to have relationships with realtors,
Right.
stuff like that. So really Zoom was a big one for you.
Yes, Zoom was very big. A lot of video. I like to do a lot of bomb, just in messages and then things like that. Where if it's a longer text than about that on the screen, I'll probably just send a 30-second video and explain. And then it's like, hey, if you have any questions about what I just said, then we can hop on the phone. But obviously, if you're an appointment, you gotta wait, you gotta push that out. We don't like to make our clients wait, so kind of coming up with those things. But it was video marketing, it was Facebook posts, it was things that weren't maybe as important to some people, because getting in front of people was the relationship piece. But how do you touch people without seeing them? That was the big question. And so that was a couple of things that I love to utilize was Zoom meetings, because face-to-face, not entirely the same, but it also gave me the ability to share some things on screen.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, then you can show them the numbers, show them
marketing material. Yeah, I would have with consultations with buyers for sure, as I would sit them down on a Zoom call and I would walk them through, here's your monthly payment, here's your closing costs, here's the full breakdown, here is how the process is going to go from start to finish, and then email them all the material. But show it and walk them through it like I would in person. So as opposed to just reading it out on the table or the desk, I would just be doing it on a computer screen. So kind of that adjustment was huge.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, social media wise, what are you kind of doing?
So social media, we are picking up with Thrive. So I have a lot of access to a lot better access, let me say, to marketing material. So I also have an assistant that is going to start pushing out a lot of video. I want to get like this guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see some of these.
There's going to
drop your knowledge on us.
Dropping the knowledge. So there's gonna be some things coming. There are some things on the docket for 2022 to make sure we start doing once I get some systems in place. But yeah, I'm definitely working into the video world like you are, because I know where we're going, and I want to make sure that
you jump on the train.
I want to jump on the train well before it's passed. So
yeah, and I mean it's a great way to touch your sphere.
Absolutely.
Like, I have followers. Just like we were at the Mexican restaurant last week.
We got lunch last week. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there, we're talking, and somebody I went to high school with who I haven't talked to in maybe 5 years, because she was a couple grades ahead of me.
Right.
She just walked up, hey, how's it going?
How's the real estate thing?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Life's great. I mean, it's tough being with a celebrity sometimes.
What can I say? And then I went to Corner Pocket later that night, and I saw somebody else, and it was the exact same. Oh, hey, how's it real estate?
Right.
I watch all your content, stuff like that. And the biggest thing with content creation for anybody who's thinking about getting started or doing it is people don't interrupt. You go look at my page, and I'll get 10 likes or whatever, but people still watch it. And what I want them to do is, when they think of real estate, Michael Wiss comes to mind.
Yep, it's buying brain cells, and that's a lot and that's kind of where we're going from just a typical, post a picture with a caption on Facebook. I mean, all of our media we consume now is 10 to 30, 45 second videos.
Yep.
Instagram Reels, TikTok. I mean, I jumped on the TikTok train really late. Really late, because I was like, no, I'm not gonna like it. I'm gonna get addicted. I don't want to be on it. I want to make sure focus. And I caved eventually, but it's like I have a lot of motivational stuff on there too. It's not just like funny videos or comedy bits. I mean, I have 2-3 minute long videos saved on my phone of motivational speakers from bits of their podcasts and their conferences. So I think it was an eye-opener for video content, because if I'm going to do it, what's the difference of if I make something and somebody else watches it?
Yeah.
And so I truly think that video is going to be very important. It's a lot of consumable content, because audiobooks. I mean, we moved from physical books to audiobooks.
Yeah, now I can listen to them in my car on my drive, and
right. I can listen to any book I want on tape, anywhere in the country, on a plane, on a boat, in a car, driving. Now I can watch a video, I can watch a podcast downloaded.
I think it's all about, what all this comes down to is being more efficient.
Yep, absolutely.
Making a video and being able to watch that video is a lot more efficient than reading a block of text that big. Audio book, you don't have to sit down and take time out of your day to listen to it. You can do it while you're driving, while you're working out. It's all about becoming more efficient, and I think it's just going to keep getting that way. You look at even like TikTok. They 30-minute videos at first.
Right.
It's pop, in and out, on to the next. And I think just becoming more efficient, I think that's really where we're going to start seeing our society go.
Absolutely.
So then, what's been the biggest challenge then? I know I said surprise, but
Yes.
I guess with the way you answered that one, I guess that really kind of brought the biggest challenge. But other than that, were there any other huge challenges that you didn't foresee before getting in?
I did not. I would say that and every job has their own stresses, but the kind of stress that a real estate agent and a loan officer deal with on a daily basis is that we have your livelihood in our hands. If we don't do our jobs correctly, I don't do my work up front and get you pre-approved, he doesn't do his job and gets you into the right neighborhood, we overlook something on an inspection, something goes wrong, we have thousands, tens of thousands of dollars out of people's pockets. I always recommend, and I will fall on the sword for the rest of time with it, a home inspection. Because if your roof is not, I'll say to code, or your roof is not sound, roofs are not cheap.
No, especially not right now. They're insane right now.
They're insane right now. And if you don't get an inspection, there's no way to know that it would have been bad, and the only thing that you and I can do is recommend the best roofer we know with the best service and, hopefully the best prices, and say, here's what we can do to fix it. But that is, so I always like to tell people, it's like, we, and, just speaking personally, we don't get paid unless we close. Our job for the 30 days, 30 or less days that we're working with you are as stressful for you as they are for us. Because we want to make sure, one, you're not homeless. Two, everything is taken care of that we can control. But the main thing is that you guys are taken care of.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have the luxury of being able to move into a new home and sell a home. Most people are what we call contingent, or they have to sell their home they currently live in to be able to move into a new house. So now not only do you have your buying transaction, you have your selling transaction, and that in itself is enough stress to bring some of the calmest people I've met to, some frustration. So I guess that would be something, is that managing all of those emotions for your borrowers, making sure they understand, one, what they're getting into in the beginning, but that, yes, it's going to be stressful. Oh. Buying a house is not, we like to make it sound easy because we don't want to scare you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moving parts. I think just from the loan officer standpoint, 60 different people touch a loan file from start to finish. Between processors, underwriters, ordering different verifications for things. There's a lot of things that borrowers don't know that happen that we just take care of on the back end.
Yeah.
And it's not just,
and hopefully they never even have to hear about it.
And that's the point. The less they have to worry about, the better. Here's what you need to worry about. You worry about this. If there's any issues on the back end, I'll let all parties know. But that then comes to the communication standpoint of making sure they understand what it is we need, why we need it. Is what you get a lot of questions. People in the industry, they don't like underwriters. Underwriters are the worst. They're trying to ruin, it's like, there are guidelines that we have to follow. Guidelines,
throw them out of the window.
Get them out.
Yeah.
Live in anarchy. But making sure that we follow the correct set of things going along. So I would say that would be one of the hardest challenges, is making sure you manage the fears and expectations of your client. And then going back to what we prior said, setting those expectations properly eliminates a lot of fears.
Yeah.
Because if you set unrealistic expectations, that's when they start thinking way outside the lines. They start worrying about things that may or may not, I don't want to say don't matter, but things out of our control.
Yeah.
You know, why should you worry about X if you have no control over it? So that would be what I would say maybe the biggest day-to-day challenge getting into it. I would have never realized, unless you're in the business, managing fears and expectations.
Yeah, and to kind of bounce off that stress thing, I mean, it's a real pain sometimes. I mean, I've had, I had deals earlier. I had a really messed up first 6 months of the business.
I've heard
and
this.
it just, the stress was terrible.
Right.
But you learn. I learned from those, and I mean, I almost quit the real estate business. If I'm being honest, it was it was terrible. I had 4 in a row that were just absolute train wrecks. But so I think being able to manage that stress and being able to manage people is one of the biggest things I've learned. At first it was kind of, I was holding on to them and they were kind of dragging me around, and now I'm like, okay, this is what we need to do first. We're going to go look at this. Being able to manage that is huge.
Right. Yep. Let people control their own destiny with a little bit of navigation.
Yeah. Now, have you had any struggles being so young and being in the business?
I had one deal in particular. The other agent knew who my father was, who Dave Brown is my father, who's been around for a little bit. And so he made the comment that I should pass the deal over to Dave. And so that was kind of a gut check of, I need to learn very quickly how to manage people. And so it always does, it comes after delivering bad news. And so I delivered some bad news, and that comment was said, and I was kind of like, I can't control how he reacts.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to control what I can control, I can only relay the most up-to-date information I have. But I can't control how you're going to react. I personally don't want to give you the bad news.
No.
I don't want
You want this to go through
I want this
much
to go
as everybody else.
seamlessly. But I would be a fool in the business to tell you that everyone is a cakewalk. There are some deals that, like he said, you have issues. And that's okay. If it was that easy, everybody would get in real estate.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at people who become real estate agents, I think it's 80% or 85% drop out within the first 2 years.
Right, within the first 2 years, because they either, don't have the lead generation and the closing, the profitability that they think they were going to have, the stresses that they didn't think they would encounter, or just plain dealing with these kinds of issues. Sometimes it's too much.
Yeah, and I think managing money, especially in this industry, is
well.
super key, because paydays can be all stacked up. And you're like, it's great, and then I've gone a month without getting paid. But
and when we first started, I think I went almost 75 days without a paycheck.
Yeah, I went
just because
I went 3 months. My first check was $75.
Nice. Yep. I closed a $85,000 refi.
$5,000 lot flat fee.
Nice. Love it.
But I think being able to just manage your money in this industry is huge.
That is a skill. And I don't know how you feel about this, but being on a team as opposed to operating independently. I know there's benefits, there's pros and cons to both, but I truly think if you're going to start, I would start on a team.
Oh, 100%.
Because the experience and the mentorship you're going to get from a team is going to outweigh the benefits of trying to figure out on your own. Now, if you're one of those people that just figures things out on your own, more power to you.
Yeah, even then, I think it still cuts that learning curve down.
Right.
Drastically. I mean, but you have to be careful when you're picking your team. You can't
I agree.
you need to do your due diligence, interview a bunch of teams, see what they're going to offer you.
Yep.
And don't just look at that split number, because
for
your first year, it's irrelevant.
Part.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to make money. You're going to make less money than if you were alone, but then you got to look at it and say, okay, would I have done all this?
Right.
A lot of people congratulate me a ton on, how well I've done my first year.
Absolutely.
But I think, Jake's been a huge part of that, of getting me there.
Right. Is the mentorship, because it's almost thinking in the long term. Those first 2 years of real estate agents in the business, they're looking at the now.
Yeah.
They see the split, they see, what they can make on a commission, and that's all well and good because, we have to feed our families too. As much as I love helping people, if I was doing this for free,
I wouldn't be able to do it very well.
I wouldn't be able to do it very well or for very long.
Yeah.
Unless somebody wants to rent me their office and let me use their Wi-Fi. But it's like, how long do you plan on doing it for? Do you plan on doing it for 2 years? Do you want to do it for 5? Do you want to do it for 10? And I think that's something a lot of people overlook is we may be young. I could change my career 10 times before I'm 30.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to. I mean, that kind of goes back to the college thing you mentioned way earlier was, I could go to trade school for 2 years.
I did that. It wasn't fun. I was an electrician. I'm already on like number 3 or 4 right here.
If you want to get out of real estate at any point, you could just go straight into contracting work.
Dude, honestly.
Take all of your referral partners or all of your coworkers that you had and just say, hey, here's who I am, here's what I do.
Yeah, no, that's honestly a great idea. You just now, if I ever want to get out of real estate, boop, that's
you have a fallback.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with real estate, where I think it also is what is kind of the biggest advantage of college, especially in the business aspect,
right,
is the people you meet. And I think it's the same thing in real estate. I mean, I've met some amazing people who have done some incredible things, and that gives me opportunities down the road if I ever were wanted to transition out of real estate.
Absolutely. It just gives you more. I would rather have more closed doors that I'm able to walk through than one wide open door that I have to bet all I have on that one opportunity.
Yep, and I think that's really, and that's why I quit going to college really was, I was going online, so I didn't have, a bunch of...
Right.
So it was really, I was learning my business degree, and I was like, this is kind of stupid.
Yeah. What am I really learning?
Yeah, exactly. And then you jump into real estate and you realize like any business you go to join, they're going to have their systems.
Yep.
You're going to get hired there. You're going to learn their systems. And guess what? If you go somewhere else,
you're going to have to do
same thing all over again. So it's the
thing.
biggest thing you're paying for is those connections. I personally believe in a business aspect of college.
100%. Absolutely.
So what's kind of the process of getting licensed as a loan officer?
So it's similar to real estate. So you guys have 90 hours, a national and state exam. We have 20 hours and a national and state exam. But here's the big kicker. So personally, I had to take it all 3 times. Missed it the first time. Missed it by about 3% the second time. And passed it the third time. And so the month before taking it the third time, I'm having all of these doubts of, is this really for me? Can I really pass, can I do the sales part of this and learn it? And I'm like, what am I gonna do if I fail it a third time? Like, I had some little bit of job security, but it's like what I could do in my current position, licensed and unlicensed, was night and day. If I were to pick, I would pay a lot more money to have an assistant or a transaction coordinator who is licensed than one that is not. Yeah. Because they can answer specific questions that I can, as opposed to if I just hire somebody off the street or straight out of college. Yeah, Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo can't answer anything about rate, loan programs. He can't answer those things. You have to direct it back to me. Yeah. So essentially having Joe Schmo is just having somebody dial for me or make marketing material, which, take that as you will. But that third time, I had all of the fear of failing. So trying to figure out what I was going to do for the next 180 days if I did fail. So that is the loan officer portion. And then we have the same continuing education you guys do. 10 hours and then 1 additional hour per licensed state. So I'm currently licensed in 2 states.
What states are those good in?
Indiana and Texas. I'm going to be working on Michigan and Ohio going into 2022. So I'll have 14 hours of continuing education next year, which the benefits outweigh that 1 hour, I will say.
Yeah, I had a very similar kind of fear. So, I was an electrician for about a year and a half, year and a half. And then right toward the end, they shipped me up to Goshen. I was working 13-hour days, doing all this running around stuff. Hated it. Decided to, get my real estate license. Took my pre-licensing course. Did it in about a week and a half.
Yep.
Very, very fast. 90-hour pre-licensing course in about a week and a half. Working 13-hour days, going to college.
I was gonna say you probably didn't sleep a whole lot, if at all.
It wasn't fun. And then I sat down, took my first test, passed the state, failed the national.
Yep.
Again, with this COVID thing, the tests were really weird.
Right.
So the next available test was December 1st, I believe.
And when did you take the first test?
Like November 25th, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it was.
So
like
there was some time.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a little bit. I think it was actually before that, because once I passed the first time and passed the state, I put in my 2 weeks at my job, and I was just like, you know what, we're gonna kind of send it.
Hey, we're gonna jump on this opportunity.
So I had a lot of fear going into it. I was like, all right, I already quit my job.
Right.
We have to pass it now.
I have no other option. It is pass or I can't make payment.
Yeah.
I can't pay for what I need to pay for.
Exactly. So I mean, having that fear, I think really just it was like, this is it.
This
We're
is it.
going for it.
There is no fail.
Exactly. So no problems. Passed it, and we were on our way.
And here we are.
So where can people find you at, Kellen?
So you can find me at Kellen Brown at Thrive Mortgage on Facebook, Kellen Brown at LinkedIn, and then I have a personal website, applywithkellen.com is where you find my pre-approval link if you are interested buy, selling, or refinancing your real estate. Obviously on the selling side, I'll refer you out to one of my trusted agents. For all other things, I can do some advising, but I always tell people, if it's a question that I'm not suited to answer or isn't in my licensure, I'm going to get you with somebody who is able to answer that question to the best of their abilities. So
that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by today, and look forward to talking with you.
I appreciate it, Michael.
All right, take it easy.
Thank you.